Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Press Box Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. Welcome to the Philly Press Box Radio, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA. Allstate Insurance in Westchester, PA. Cavs, Philly Tailgates, and the Edge of Philly Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my partner, Jim Chet Chesko. And Chet, the Eagles. Anyway, the Flyers are playing really good hockey, going 3-0 on a recent road trip, winning in Minnesota, in Winnipeg, in St. Louis, playing fantastic. We'll certainly talk more about both of those. The Sixers got Joel Embiid back yesterday, picked up a win. He is playing tonight, it appears, in a head-to-head matchup against Joker. That should be fun to watch. And, hey, should we go ahead and just throw it out there? Spring training is next month. We're 29 days from pitchers and catchers. As always, there's plenty to talk about.
Oops, hang on, Bill. The Eagles just missed another tackle.
Yeah, right? Or a couple.
Oh, God. You know, a lot of people are suddenly really looking forward to baseball and spring training. It is fast approaching, less than a month away. But, you know, with the Eagles season over, Bill, fans are also going to be giving the Flyers a lot more well-deserved attention. They've been terrific.
They have. And, hey, we've got a great guest to talk about the Flyers tonight. When Brian Propp, the Flyers legend, going to talk Flyers hockey, the alumni game activity, some personal ventures Propper has going on. So what do you think we get to that?
Yeah, and as I indicated, I have a hunch there's going to be a lot of renewed interest in the Flyers over the next several weeks and months. It's always great to get the insight and the thoughts of one of the greatest Flyers wingers of all time. He is their second leading goal scorer ever, and he's fourth in points all time, and he is with us tonight. Let's do it, Bill.
Let's do it. Let's welcome Brian Propp back to Philly Press Box Radio. Proper, welcome.
Yeah, guffaw.
There it is. Brian Propp, great to see you once again. You know, we're going to talk about the alumni game that is coming up later this month, but let's start talking, first of all, about the current Flyers team. As we said before we got on the air, they've been just on fire lately, winning road games, getting great goaltending. Lo and behold, they're 24-14-6. A lot of people thought it was going to be a down year, a rebuilding year. They have the fourth best record in the Eastern Conference and looking very much like a playoff team. What are your thoughts and what surprises you maybe about this year's Flyers, Brian?
Well, I noticed that when I watched them play, they're really tough to play against. Like they force all the time. They don't give teams time on the ice, and plus they're getting good goaltending. But the defense and it's a couple of new defense that are playing really well, and they're playing as a team. Like I like that they're fighting a little bit more with the tough guys. That makes it a little more different, but it's good. I think ever since Dan Briere took over the team, and Jones is going to be there, and Don Hefferton running the team, you know, they're doing their own thing, just letting him run the team, and they're making their own decisions. And I like what they're doing it because like the draft guy that he didn't want to play there. So screw him.
That's right. He's on.
There you go.
Hey, Proper, in your long NHL career, you played for a couple teams, mainly the Flyers, but did you ever have a coach that has these players basically on a day-to-day evaluation, you know, almost hour to hour, and has no problem, no matter who you are, saying, tonight's your night off, pal?
Yeah, that would be Mike Keenan, because like he's a lot like the new coach that we have right now. He doesn't take anything, and he just, if you're not playing well, you get benched. Thankfully for me, I didn't get bunched too much. But we had good teams in the 80s. We had good goaltenders, good leadership, good players, Brad McCrimmon, Mark Howe, Dave Poulin, Kerr, Bob Clark, Leach, Barber, like all those guys at the start, and then Tockett and Mellenby. So they learned from the younger guys how to play and win a lot more. So it was really good for me. But Keenan was he liked to challenge the other players, and but we had good teams, and so he didn't have to get in that much trouble.
Hey, Brian, you mentioned the change in management with the Flyers, Danny Briere and Keith Jones. You know these guys, I'm sure, pretty well from your many years as a Flyer alum. Are these guys the right guys to take the Flyers to the next step?
Yeah, they're good because like Danny's like he has been working with Connecty because like that's why he's having such a good team. And he taught him to score more and that's why he's the all-star right time. But he's playing with passion and he's fiery, and so like I think Danny taught him a lot just by having as a GM. And then Jones, like he knows his hockey because he's done all the other things for TV and radio, and he knows all the players. And I think that now that they changed to younger players that are faster, but they still have the character that you need as a Flyer, it makes a big difference. You know, like they don't really have stars right now, but they play really hard and they play for each other. They're having fun, and who knows? Like they're the second in the division against next to the Rangers right now.
Yep. Yeah. Hey, Brian, Bob Sullivan says he needs to fire up one of them Gaffal cigars that he got over at Buffalo Wild Wings the other week.
Well, definitely. I always have them with me. You know, a mild, a medium, a Maduro, or limited edition, but they're really quality cigars from the Dominican Republic. So I always have them with me, and I'll have a lot with me at the weekend with all the Flyers alumni here.
There you go. We're going to get to that. I have another question for you on the current team, though, and the goaltending has been really good, I think. And what about the improvement in the blue line that has helped the goaltenders, and all of a sudden now we've got two quality goaltenders?
Yeah, it makes a big difference. Like Hart was always number one, and then he had a couple shutouts, and so he's playing really well. But again, like it's how they play in front. So like they're getting lots of shots every game, and they force all the time, and they're tough to play against. And so like you don't get a time to set up with power play or making plays. It's tough, but you have to react to the goalie, and so they've been doing a really good job with that, and they manage the defensemen really well, and you know they've been working really hard together, and they're having fun, and you know it's so good to see when they put the mask on at the end after the game.
Can they keep doing this, play the two goalies, you know, pretty much 50-50, or do you have to have one main guy like a Bernie Perron and the other guy playing, you know, 20% of the time?
I think that Hart's number one, but the other goalie's been playing so well now too. Like they both have confidence in that, and so that's why that they're winning, because they're on the away games. Like they're playing great, and so like they're picking up wins, and you know they tied a few times, but now they're shoot ups. They're doing much better with shoot ups and overtime. So it all adds up, and like you know, you just have to get into the playoffs, and every chance is a chance now. But you know, I think they're surprised a lot of other people, and they just didn't know that they're going to rebuild. But you know, they're never going to rebuild. Because Danny does such a good job, and they're always looking for another player that can help them. But you know, they're playing with confidence, and they're playing with fire and attitude. So that makes a big difference. And again, I like when they mix it up and they have a couple of fighters in the game, because that makes a difference too. Like the old Flyers.
Yeah, and you know the other thing that I like, Brian, is that they never seem like they're out of the game. They fall a couple goals down, not really where you want to be, but they battle, and they seem to get back in those games, whether it's a shorthanded goal which they're really good at, or whatever it is, they just keep grinding, and I like that. And it seems like most games they outshoot their opponents as well.
Yeah, they shoot a lot, but their power play wasn't that good a month ago, but it's getting better. Yeah. But they don't have many on the power plays every once in a while. But I think that the setup is really simple. Like they go from the back and they take it to the side and they take it to the front, and then they shoot and they get in front of the net. And so that's the way you have to do it. And so the guys are really doing a really good job of getting to the front of the net and getting rebounds and getting some power play goals. But again, like coming from behind, a couple of games from behind, like they figure out a way to get from behind, and then that's why they've been doing so well, because they have that attitude never to give up.
Hey, Brian, let's talk about what's coming up at the end of January. January 26th, I guess, is the game. We're talking about the Flyers Alumni Association and the alumni game against the Bruins. They're going to honor Mark Recchi, who's going into the Hall of Fame. I know that's going to be a great event. You probably look forward to not only getting on the ice, which you are going to do, you and Chris Therien added to the roster, but also just seeing so many old teammates and other Flyer alum.
Yeah, so it was 50 years since they won the Stanley Cup. So the night before, we're going to have a Flyers alumni event, like at Wells Fargo Center, and so or at Xfiniter, one of those two. And so I get to see all the old guys that were winning some Stanley Cup games and all the other alumni. And so that's nice to have. And then we have a practice the 26th at 10 in the morning, and then we'll have a little meal after that, and then we'll hang up and then go to the game later, and then have a fun time. And I know that everyone likes to talk, and Boston's has a nice alumni too, because I know most of the Boston alumni, because I played with them for playoffs in 1 month, but I know most of them they're playing because they're from Boston alumni, and so I know probably more Boston alumni than the Flyers, but it's a fun time, and it's going to be for charities, and everyone's going to make a difference, and we have a good team, and so it'll be exciting, and people hopefully they can sign up and get some tickets, and then of course that afternoon they're going to have Mark Recchi get inducted into the Flyers Hall of Fame, which he's really deserves.
Hey, Brian, does Boston bring some of their big gunners with them, or an Esposito and the old timers? Do they come and support like the Flyers do?
I think it's more the younger guys, like a Bork, who's like about my age, and then Kenny Linsman, he'll be playing for Boston, and
Rat.
Nifty, I don't think Orr's not going to play, and Esposito, he might be busy with the other team that he has, and then and then Swoop and a few other guys that I know from Boston, they're 40s, 50s, and so it'll be a good time, and but it'll be entertaining, and while maybe they'll have Chara now as now alumni, they'll have a couple of younger guys but they'll have a good team too.
Now, here's the Flyers roster as of a few weeks ago, but you have been added to the roster, as has Chris Therien, our buddy Bundy. Some real good names there, including, of course, Eric Lindros and Recchi and Brent Fedek and John LeClair, too. So some big names. Mark Howe and Joe Watson, who we mentioned, 80 years old, is going to skate. That is great. Brian Boucher as well. So a lot of big names right there. The fans are going to really enjoy that. Yeah,
and I think that Fedek just got hurt. So he's not going to make it because he hurt his shoulder, so he's not going to be playing. So, but maybe we'll fill it up with other guys. We'll have other guys that can fill the spots, and so it'll be a fun time. But yeah, these guys are a little younger; they can skate faster than me. But after my stroke, I still can't shoot the puck that well. But I skate pretty good, and I'll be a pain in their ass.
I'm available, Brian. I can center you and John LeClair if you need me. I'm available.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Hey, is Donald Brashear added to the lineup just in case somebody decides they want to throw down? You still got Brashear there.
Well, of course, and then Chara too. He's 6'9", so you have to watch. But and Fridge, he likes to fight. So we have a couple tough guys. and so it should be a fun time.
Yeah, I do like that Mike Richards is coming back too. I guess it's his first time back since he left Philly, and good to have him back in the organization. He was a good player, and for whatever happened, they parted ways. I always liked Mike Richards.
Yeah. Well, he's a good player with Carter too. Like they played really well together, and like Carter is still playing for Pittsburgh, and so I keep in touch with a lot of these people because on the alumni, like I know what everybody's doing with where they're living, themselves, what they're working on, and where they live and things like that. So it's good for everybody that's going to be part of it. We'll have lots of posts. My brother-in-law, Bill McKay, is going to be a photographer for the event. And so, we'll get lots of good pictures.
Great.
Well, we mentioned that you played the bulk of your career with the Flyers, but as you said, Brian, you finished up the 1989-90 season with the Bruins. You played 14 regular season games and then the postseason, and you guys made a deep run all the way to the Cup finals. That was some pretty good teammates you had. Cam Neely, Ray Bourque, even your old Flyers teammate Dave Poulin was on that team. That must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really fun because that year I got traded at the end of the year because I had a high hand injury. Like I missed 27 games because I had a hole in my artery, and so I had to get that taken out. And so I just took me a couple of years to get a heal, and then at the end of the year, I just got traded at the end. But I think Clark did me a favor because they were going with younger guys, and Dave Poulin got back in January, and they were number one in the league that year. And then that year, that was the year that the triple overtime and the lights went out the first game, and Cleaner he scored in triple overtime, and he only played like one shift and got the goal. And that really that hurt us because we needed to win that first game in Boston.
Now, Propp, you have a whole lot of personal activities going on. You are one busy man. You've got a little cigar situation going. You've got golf. You've got all kinds of stuff. Tell us what's up.
Yeah, so I've got a cigar event at Chubby's Steakhouse in Gloucester City. The 28th. It's going to be it'll be a nice event. If they want to go to www.chevysteakhouse.com and sign up. There's going to be 80 people. I think we have about 40 of them already signed up, but we have room for other guys. And you get 2 of my cigars at the start. It's in a restaurant that you can smoke in the restaurant. And the charity that I'm going to work with is the Stroke Center of University of Pennsylvania. It's going to be one of the benefactors, and Hearth Community Fund in Gloucester City. Also, we're going to split the monies for that, and then it's like 120 a person. But it'll be a nice night, and then we'll have now the Eagles are out. They don't have to worry about watching the Eagles or things like that. And have that, and then I also have I'm going to host Phillies sports trips with Vince. I'm going to host an event. We're going to leave from maybe downtown or something like that, and then we're going to have a tailgate, and then I'm going to bring my cigars, and then we're going to go to the game at the MetLife Stadium, and then go back after that. So I'm going to be hosting with that, and so we have about 120 signed up right now. We want to try to get to 200 people, and so that's what I've been working with, a couple of that, and then I also have my own golf tournament at Riverwinds golf course and tennis for the Stroke Center, University of Pennsylvania at Riverwinds. May 13th is the day after Mother's Day, and I have lots of people signed up for that already, and it'll be nice for that. And then I have my charity hockey event for Headstrong Cancer, April 6th at Iceworks ice rink, which is going to benefit the Headstrong Cancer people. So I've got the teams kind of set up, and the guys that are set up. Luke Nolan's going to help me. Carrie Frazier is going to be one of the refs, and I got a couple other celebrities. And I've been working on a couple other trips with another company in New York called Executive Global Tours. I'm going to probably take a trip it's going to come out like in May 18th to the 21st, a week in Ireland. And so like I'll get people, I'll do a video with that and then share that with you guys when I get them to see if they can find like 20 players that want to go. It'll be hosted by me. I might have another alumni too, but just don't know yet. But yeah, there's a lot going on for me the next, because my house in Mark isn't finished yet. I'm here stuck in the cold here, and but hope another month I'll be in Marker Island.
Hey Brian, you mentioned the stroke and the charity that you're doing this for. I think most people know you did suffer a really bad stroke 8.5 years ago, 2015. Well, I got to tell you, you look great and you sound great. Are you pretty much back to normal now? Are you feeling real good?
Yeah, so like my wife Eileen has another. She's one of the partners. We have Lynn O'Malley, like in Marlton, New Jersey. We just started the franchise, Prime IV Hydration and Wellness in Marlton like 2 months ago, and so it's really healthy for you. But there's a thing called NAD treatment, like where I went 4 days in a row for 4-hour drips. And it cleans out your whole system, and it renews the cells that you need when you're younger in your body. So I noticed right at that time, I noticed that doing that, like my fingers are much better. I can close them. I have more room with my arm, and so maybe I can play a little more golf, and maybe I can play better hockey a little. And but it's really healthy for you, and it's if they want, they can check it out. It's Prime IV Wellness Hydration and .com in Marlton, and so they just stop in. We always registered nurses that we use because it's New Jersey and it's managed really well, but it's going along pretty well.
Awesome.
Hey, I want to say Iceworks, for those that don't know, Aston, Pennsylvania, right down there in Delaware County, Jimmy Watson's place.
Yes, yeah. So like that's I did that last year, and so I'm gonna April 6th. I'm gonna be it'll be from 1 to 3 as a game, and they'll have tickets available for that, and then we have a little dinner after that, buffet, and I have like 5 or 6 other alumni that are going to be part of it, and put the 2 teams together, split up the teams, and make sure it's fun, and raise a little money for the cancer people.
I was going to have one final question for you. I was going to ask you if you ever rest, because it sounds like you're a busy man.
Yeah, well, so I'm writing a book too. So with Wayne Fish, so we just did all the recordings. Like it's going to be like a Chris Therrien's book. It's going to be kind of the same idea, but the name's going to be Angel on My Wing, because my dad's a Lutheran minister, and my faith and everything that I did with my career and after my stroke and coming back it makes a difference. But it'll probably take another 9 months to edit everything, and so I'll let you guys know like when it's finished for sure, because I'll probably be back having some signings like another 9 months or something like that. But just I always like to keep busy. I also do a lot of consulting, and I still work with Wolf Commercial Real Estate in Marlton. Mm-hmm. I've been over there 9 years. Jason Wolf, and we have built a whole team there. Commercial Real Estate in Marlton. It's right across the street from Prime IV, where we are in 73 North. And so like I stop there once in a while, but it's going really well. And thankfully, like Jason Wolf he helped me a lot after my stroke, because he helped me with financially.
Good deal. Well, Brian, we certainly appreciate you coming by. Anything we can do to help promote what you got going on, certainly let us know, and we will be on top of it and do everything we can for you.
Yeah, thanks. It was a great time.
All right. Thanks, my man.
My proper. Take care.
Thanks.
Chet, that was awesome.
Oh, what a guy. Love him.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, let's give a shout out to all the shows at the Edge of Philly Sports Network this week, Chet. The gang has all the bases covered. They even have the Eagles covered. You can catch all the action on www.eopsports.com, as well as find our show and their show on YouTube. Philly Press Box Radio and Edge of Philly Sports. There you see the shows for the week. Looking pretty good. We're just missing some Birds action.
We're doing our show here Tuesday evening live on a couple of platforms, but it will be re-aired tomorrow in our usual Wednesday 7 p.m. time on the Edge of Philly Sports Network. So if you had a good time, you can watch and listen to us all over again because, that's how the internet works.
Yep. And go hit YouTube, hit that Philly Press Box Radio page, hit those subscribe, follow, and like buttons. We need more followers, Chet, and share with your family and friends.
Yeah, join us. We have fun every week, and we're going to be talking lots of Flyers and Sixers in the week ahead because this is it for the Eagles, unfortunately, but we'll get to them in a couple of minutes.
We sure will. But, hey, first, let's go over this rotation this week.
Oh, the Irish Rover, you say. You froze up on me a little bit there. But, yes, you ask about the Irish Rover, and I shall tell you all about what's going on there. They have Quizzo every Wednesday evening at the Irish Rover. They're located, by the way, on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. Dinner specials Thursday through Sunday. Killer Burger Thursdays. They got some great burgers. Ask Joe Bonder. He'll tell you. Also, live music, and that's on Saturday night. Also, 24 beers on tap. That's every single day, 24 beers on tap. The Irish Rover, again, is located on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. And I just realized we are just 2 months from St. Patrick's Day, so you know where I'm going to be. The Irish Rover, Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. You can get all the details on everything on their website. That would be IrishRoverStationHouse.com. And you know what? One more time, Bill, I think we got to hear from our pal, Merrill.
Hi, football fans. This is Merrill Reese, and you're listening to Bill and Chet on Philly Press Box Radio. It's good!
I'm not thinking that Merle had much of that to say last night, Chet.
You know what? I heard his final end-of-game call. He just sounded very angry and depressed about what has happened with the Eagles over this last month and a half. You know, I was just thinking today, remember how the one opposing manager talking about playing baseball at Citizens Bank Park was 4 hours of hell? Well, for Eagles fans, it's been a month and a half of hell because they haven't strung together 2 good quarters in a row since literally November. So frustrating.
We'll get to that in just a minute.
We will.
One thing I want to throw in here, you mentioned Joe Bonder. I had Joe in my notes. Joe is actually watching the show as we speak. Joe is in the hospital.
Oh, no.
So we wish Joe the best. And our buddy Fester Talamani is also in the hospital. So shout out to you, Joe. Fester, get better, get well, and get back on your feet. We got stuff to do yet.
And Jane recovering from her knee replacement last week. So everybody's getting a little work done, taking care of things. So hopefully you all come out of this very, very well in the weeks and months ahead.
We're getting ready for the second half.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, one more thing we're going to hit before we get the Eagles, Chet. We got to talk Sixers. Joel Embiid is back. He responded with 41 points, 10 rebounds in just 31 minutes. Tyrese Maxey out of 27. Sixers still 4.5 games back. As we mentioned, back-to-backers tonight. Embiid looks like he's playing.
Yeah.
Head-to-head with the Joker.
Yeah, and the defending champion, Denver Nuggets. So as soon as we're out of here, Bill, I'm going to be racing home and catch the second half of that one. Should be a good one. We'll see if Embiid's streak continues. We see how he does against the other big man from the West, the guy who has the championship ring that Embiid still doesn't have, and you don't think he's ever going to have. So I'm looking forward to this one, Bill.
Yeah, I think it should be a fun game to watch anyway. It's funny to me that this guy is so good. He's such a good player. I'm talking about Embiid now.
Yeah.
He's such a good player that he cannot play for days at a time and score 40 points. I mean,
it's pretty amazing.
It's not easy.
I mean, he was legitimately hurt with the sprained ankle, and he didn't practice for several days. And, he rolls off of his couch or whatever. And as you said, scores 41, grabs 10 rebounds to keep that streak going, 16 in a row. He's got at least 35 and 10. So the guy's good. I just wish he could stay healthy. And, I hope he's healthy in May.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Chet, it's that time. We're going to talk Eagles. And I'm going to start it off for you. I'm gonna lay out just a little bit that I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about a lot, but I think we need a whole postmortem that starts with Howie Roseman and works all of its way down. We don't have time for all of that, but we have time for a lot of it. So let's before we go to the coaches, because it kind of blends in. Everybody's headhunting the coaches today. Let's talk defense. Oh. And I said this the other week, a couple weeks ago, when I watched that game film. There were a couple things we pointed out, and every one of them showed their ugly head last night. That was gap control, soft on the corners, poor pursuit angles, can't tackle, and that gets you blown out. And that game was worse than the score. Tampa dropped 2 touchdowns in the first half. That game was not a 33-9 game or 32-9 game. It was about a 50-9 game.
Right, because they had a couple of key dropped passes. Mike Evans had one. The other receiver had one that would have had a touchdown. So
Otten dropped that ball right down the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a the fan in me is as frustrated as everybody else, and you think, how that was just awful. It's terrible, And then the coach in me, I put my coach hat on, and I think to myself, what happened? Forget the score of the game, because that's kind of what the fans want. That's the end result. But when you think about what happened all week as a coach, that we weren't prepared again, and it's happened week after week after week. What has happened? And I think that's where the full evaluation has to come in.
You knew there was going to be a lot of blitzing from Todd Bowles' defense, and yet they still weren't prepared for it, just like they haven't been over most of the last 7 weeks. And the tackling. Now, I didn't watch it, but on the Manning cast last night, they had Ray Lewis on in the third quarter. And from what I heard today, he was talking about the poor tackling. And as you mentioned, just saying how they took very poor routes. And then you had, Bradbury looking like, a spinorama or whatever. It looked like he had butter on his hands. And Morrow missed tackles. Cunningham missed tackles. There were a lot of missed tackles.
And it's simple. It's simple stuff. Pursuit angles are practiced every day at the high school level. Every day. Now whether the speed of the game, these guys are pros. The speed of the game after your rookie year shouldn't be a thing. Pursuit angles and breaking down to make tackles. That's you learn that every day as a kid growing up. We teach it every game or every day. So that's frustrating to me. I thought the defensive line actually, after they were down 16-9 or whatever it was, 16 to, that I thought the defensive line actually played a little bit better, got some stops, kept them kind of in the game. But early in the game, it was the same rush, just straight bull rushing to the quarterback. They weren't getting there. The zone defense was just wide open to whoever he wanted to throw it to. And Baker Mayfield looked more like, an all-pro. And honestly, Tampa's not that good. I mean, I thought they played okay. They're not that good. And the Eagles had absolutely no answers. And, you go back to the 49ers game, the Tampa receivers look like Deebo Samuel's running around because they still haven't tackled him yet. And that was, 6 weeks ago. So defensively, now I will say that, well, let's go over to the offense. Let's talk about the offense, and we got to talk about number one first. He was not good.
He was not. He wasn't terrible. I mean, to be honest, but he wasn't great. Certainly, he wasn't the guy who was runner-up for MVP last year or considered for an MVP maybe halfway through this season. But yeah, some poor decisions on his part. The safety that he took, just awful. You just can't do that. You can't
from the 14-yard line.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get safeties from the 14-yard line.
Yeah. He was going backwards a lot. And now you got to wonder, is it the coaching or is it him? Is he just kind of doing his own thing, or are they just coaching him to, do whatever you want out there. So I don't know who's in charge. He's got a quarterback coach. He's got Brian Johnson, his former quarterbacks coach, as the OC. And then there's Nick Sirianni, who says it all starts with him. But whatever's going on, they're just not getting it done. And it's just so frustrating to watch. We knew there were problems, even when they were 10-1. And then when the losses started piling up, it just kind of grew and grew. So, boy, I don't know what to do, but it's going to be an interesting next few weeks and off season for this team.
Yeah, I think from the offensive standpoint, again, trying to put my coach's hat on and take my fan hat off, because my fan hat is really angry and irritated about the whole thing. Basic stuff. You see the blitz. Everybody in America could see the blitz was coming. And again, you go back to Little League football. You learn to throw a hot pass, a pop pass, something over the blitzer. It's basic football. And the Eagles are trying. They know the blitz is coming. If they tried to leave a back end to help out, and they're running out routes. There's nobody in the middle of the field. Now, back to the Nick Bosa interview after that game, when he said we've got the blueprint for stopping Jalen Hurts, and that's to keep him out of the middle of the field. And every team did it since then. And what happens is Hurts starts feeling the pressure. He starts running. It's worse when he goes to his left. But when he goes to say he's going to his right, as you roll out, you're cutting the field in half. You're not going to throw the ball back across the field. That's the cardinal sin, right? So you're cutting the field in half, and the further you go to the sideline, the skinnier the field gets. Mm-hmm. Well, nobody's going to get open, and you've limited yourself now to maybe one or two receivers, and you ended up throwing the ball out of bounds. And it happened all the time. And we saw, what was it? It was in the third quarter when they finally actually started getting something, and he finally had a break up the middle, and he ran like he was actually able to run, because otherwise he looked like he was running with sand in his shoes. And he actually had a nice run. They got a little energy because he was able to finally break the containment and get up the field. And we're talking about gap control that the Eagles didn't do. Gap control is what the Buccaneers did do, and they kept him in the pocket.
Yeah, I don't agree with what my buddy Denny says, if I can find that one. Basically, Denny thinks he is 2.0 Carson Wentz. I don't think that is the case, but there are some similarities in the fact that, they both are kind of regressing in their, fourth year as an Eagle. Both of them are in the midst of what a lot of people feel is some turmoil in the locker room, some of it related to the quarterback, and, an uncertain future.
Well, there's no uncertain future. He's locked in for a long time. He is the future. I don't think that's, they got to figure it out.
Although we thought that with Carson Wentz too, and then we saw how that happened. So
yeah, and I don't agree with Denny only because I'm not a Carson Wentz hater. I'm just not. But yeah. I will say this. I will say that I got one more point to make here as we work our way toward the coaches. Fundamentally, the team stinks. That's the best line I could do. Defensively, especially, they stink fundamentally. But I think it's going to come down to this with Nick Sirianni. I thought he was probably safe. I'm not sure. I think he's safe today. But I think when they sit down and they do their talent evaluation, and they evaluate each player, and Howie Roseman is involved in that as well. He does his evaluations. I think if Howie Roseman thinks that James Bradbury is a decent player, say a B player, and Nick Sirianni comes in and says, I think he's a D player, and that happens too many times, and basically it looks like Roseman gave him bad players. Mm-hmm. It's going to cost Sirianni his job.
And you know what? Maybe we did give Howie Roseman too much credit, because a lot of these guys that we thought were going to be pretty darn good, and we were somewhat happy that they brought some of the DBs back, Slay and Bradbury and whatnot. not having great years. Slay was okay much of the time. Bradbury was not good all year. And then there's the whole linebacker situation, which was never really addressed. Meanwhile, TJ Edwards had a great year elsewhere. Nakobe Dean either can't stay healthy or when he's on the field is something of a bust. And big question for me is, how the hell can a 6'6", 380-pound guy in Jordan Davis become invisible? We couldn't find him last night.
Yeah, well, and he was getting pushed around. He was getting double teamed. He was getting pushed around, and that's okay if he's holding his position, holding his gap, getting blocked, and linebackers make plays behind him. That's okay. He doesn't have to make all the tackles. He has to do his job. And I don't think, at least early on in the game, that was very effective.
Yeah. So now the question is, what about Nick Sirianni? Certainly it's been the hot topic on Sports Talk Radio all day today. Will they bring him back? Should they bring him back? Last week, I thought they should bring him back no matter what happened here, and that they would. Now I'm not so sure, because he had a full week to prepare for a playoff game against the team that he and they beat by 2 touchdowns in week 3. And he knew what the problems were and just couldn't resolve any of them. So he's got to take some of that blame. I know the players aren't great. They've had some injuries. They were without their leading receiver, but still, he just looks like he was unprepared for last night.
Yeah. And again, I think whether Jeffrey Lurie decides, it's going to come from Jeffrey Lurie, decides to keep him or not, goes back to what I just said. It's not, I don't think Jeffrey Lurie would necessarily fire him for the result. I think he would fire him for the lack of preparation. I think that's really, or what appeared to be lack of preparation. And again, that's the part that really troubles me. I know these coaches work their tails off. I know these players work their tails off. And then they get it out to the field they practice hard all week. Nobody sits around, and they get out on the field and they look like they have no business being there. And that's the troubling part. And the whole, whether he lost the locker room or this and that, we don't know. We're not there. But what we do know is they came out with no emotion. They didn't appear, like they were ready to go. Dallas Goedert, dropping that first down little square out on the second series of plays. Next thing you know, you're punting the ball back. Was it a great 3 plays? No. But if he catches it, it's a first down. You move the chains. You try to get something going. They just weren't dialed in. And that's the troubling part to me when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and it was a playoff game, so there's no excuse. I mean, they're not going to take anybody lightly in a playoff game. Goddard kind of admitted that they may have taken the Giants and Cardinals lightly, which is just crazy. But, there's clearly some deeper problems than we're aware of. So whether it's in the locker room, whether they have a problem with some of the coaches, whether they have a problem with Jalen Hurts, I don't know. But there's something going on there. And now we're talking about, maybe the end of the line for Jason Kelce, one of the most popular Eagles of all time. By several accounts today, he said goodbye to his teammates, basically that he would be hanging it up. He has not confirmed that, but man, what a way to go out. I mean, with these stinkers of games over the last month and a half for Kelce, including, that New Year's Eve loss to the Cardinals, his last home game as an Eagle, perhaps just very sad, because he deserves better.
Yeah. I mean, there's only one team that's going to go out as the Super Bowl champion,
Right. But you want to go out playing hard, and the team around him certainly did not do that.
Yeah. And, I like the heck out of him. He's a great player, and he's been great for the city. I gotta hang in there with Kelce. That's for sure.
Yep.
And they've got decisions to make with Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. Those guys played pretty good last night. The old time.
They honestly did, yeah. So BG said he would love to come back for one more season. Cox actually had a pretty good season. I thought he was on the downside, but he had a pretty good season for the most part.
Yeah, I think of the 3 of them, the one that I wouldn't bring back is Graham. I think he brings the least to the table at this stage of his career than
great guy, but yeah, he's winding down now.
Yeah, if he wanted to play on the real cheap and just have him as be part of your club and play just 20, 25 plays, that might be fine. But he certainly reached the point that he can't be. I believe he had 5 or 6 tackles in that game last night, though. But I think there's certainly plenty more to come. Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention, and I certainly don't sit and listen to every word that Troy Aikman says, but he made a really interesting comment, and it was right on. If the Cowboys didn't run the ball with Emmitt Smith when there were 7 or 8 guys in the box,
I heard that.
Emmitt Smith wouldn't be the all-time rushing leader. Just because your analytics, back to that word, tells you there's 8 guys in the box you need to throw, that's not the way the game is played. And you figure out a way. And Andy Reid, everybody always gave Andy Reid the business show about putting players in the right position to be successful. And I think that's exactly what we saw with this team. They didn't do that. You had all these young kids running around the defensive backfield that maybe weren't good enough. Well, don't put them out on an island if they're not good enough. Figure out a way. Blitz more. Do something. Disrupt things and give your guys a chance. And those are the adjustments that I don't think they made. The same with Hurts and the blitz. Where's the hot routes? Where's the swing past the Swift? Why didn't we get Swift the ball some to start with? I mean,
he ran for 9 yards on the first play of the game, and then didn't touch it much after that. Again, they got away from the run. People said maybe it was because of the blitzing and you couldn't do it, but then there's the Troy Aikman comment. You got to make it work.
Right, exactly, and you can do that. You have to work your offense to clear the box out. If they're going to keep loading the box, you have to figure out offensively how to make plays to get them out of that package. Yep. And that in-game adjustment certainly did not happen.
I got to tell you something. As the game was winding down last night, the fourth quarter, I felt kind of relieved that the season was over, because even if they had somehow managed to win that game, I would have no optimism that they were going to do well in Detroit next Sunday. I've just seen too much over the last month and a half.
It depended how they played.
If they had just pulled out a squeaker, if they dominated Tampa Bay, But just even when it was 16-9, it didn't feel like they were in the game to me.
No, because you knew watching it should have been 30-9.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and I think you and our friend Boop last week just kind of made your picks with your heart.
Oh, yeah.
I made mine with my eyes in my head because I've been watching this Eagles team the last 6 weeks.
Yeah. And one final comment on Jason Kelce. The end of the season makes his retirement decision very easy.
I think so, too, yeah.
Why come back and go through this again? We already know that he was on the teeter-totter and whether to even come back this year. Still playing at a fantastically high level, tremendously high level. Probably make another Pro Bowl, but is that really what you're here for? He's got plenty of money. He's got a nice family. I say the Jason Kelce decision is very simple at this point.
And he may have made the decision on that final tush push that didn't work. And he's thinking, I don't need to do this anymore.
Right. So
one more thing about Hurts. The final quarterback and passer ratings came out last week. In the quarterback ratings, which assesses like the entire quarterback play and takes into account the defenses you're going against, Hurts was 13th, and 12th was Gardner Minshew, right ahead of him, believe it or not. And in the typical traditional passer ratings, Jalen Hurts finished 20th this season. So
Gardner Minshew had a good year
last year.
Gardner Minshew had a good year.
Oh, he did. Yeah. But he should not be ahead of Jalen Hurts in anything.
Right. So this is an interesting comment coming from Robert. I'm going to throw this out here before we run out of time. A.J. Brown has to go.
Well, that's another thing. You, Mr. Furman, criticized Joel Embiid for not being in New York when he was nursing the sprained ankle. A.J. Brown wasn't in Tampa last night, but over the weekend, he was in Atlantic City watching a boxing match. Yeah. Is there trouble with A.J. Brown? I'm hearing some people say he wants out. Now, this is just pure speculation. Nobody knows. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say, and I certainly don't know, is they said that A.J. Brown, if they were advanced, A.J. Brown would be able to go this week.
Right.
My guess is when they went down there Friday, Saturday, or what they played on Monday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, he was probably back there getting treatments every day. He probably spent all day in the facility, which obviously you can have a nightlife. If he wasn't and he was at the boxing match, then that's obviously a problem.
Yeah.
So,
as I said, going to be an interesting next couple of months.
Yeah, we'll have plenty to talk about. They certainly gave us that. But hey, let's move on. We'll come back next week. We'll talk all kinds more. But what's going on with the best tailgaters in Philly? Bob Cavanaugh, the guy at Cavs Philly Tailgates.
Well, I can tell you that they will not be hosting a tailgate before a football game at the Link anytime soon, maybe in the fall, but not this year, maybe in September. Otherwise, they have a terrific catering business. Cav and Company, known for their tailgate parties, a 3-time winner of Philly Tailgates, Jack Daniels, Great American Tailgate Party Contest, and a past winner of the Philly Daily News Tailgate Award. Cavs also does corporate events and parties, you name it. As for upcoming events, again, there will not be anything happening right away. There's Cav, good guy. No home playoff game. But in March, they have an opening day Phillies tailgate, March 28th. I'm going to crash that one because I'll be there. June 8th, they'll be tailgating before the Kenny Chesney concert. So check out all of that information. You can email them if you need be, cabscatering@verizon.net. The website, though, is phillytailgates.com. Cavs Philly Tailgates is the way to go. And, yeah, they do a lot of stuff with Philly sports trips. Brian Propp mentioned them. Vince and Company, they're the folks to use for all Eagles road games when you start thinking about your trips next fall. Flyers and Union trips, Phillies spring training excursions. They are doing 3 different Phillies spring training excursions this year, one of them involving Snow the Goalie podcast. So that'll be fun. Check out all those trips and all the other ones also at phillysportstrips.com.
There you go. One more thing. I forgot one more thing about the Eagles and the defense. I know I'm an old timer. If I'm like Proper, wants to see a couple fights, here and there. That team, when they do their rebuild of the defense, they need to get physical. They need to put bad people on the field. And look at the 49ers. Look at the Ravens. Probably the 2 best teams in the league. They might not get to the Super Bowl, but those defenses get after people.
Yes, they do. I can't disagree, Bill.
There you go. All right. Hey, we continued our predictions into the playoffs with Bob Vitrone Jr., Boop, to his friends. You and I picked the winners of the playoff games. We started the week 0-0. I had forgotten that you took Tampa Bay. How do we do in a Super Wild-Card round?
I don't know. I don't have last week's sheet with me, and I forgot it. We had a snowstorm last night, Bill. 3 inches of snow, so I had to shovel this morning. I was tired. I didn't have time to check on that, so I don't know how the hell we did. I know I picked Tampa Bay. You guys didn't, but we'll figure that out.
I think you picked some team that lost. You picked the Browns or something. I don't know.
No, I picked Houston for sure, but I know I got at least. I picked the Rams. And they lost. So yeah, we all got 1 or 2. We all got at least 2 wrong, I think.
All right.
So
let's go to tonight. I don't have the point spreads because when I did this, there was only one spread posted. We got Houston at Baltimore, Buffalo at Kansas City, Kansas City at Buffalo, Kansas City at Buffalo, Green Bay at San Francisco. The 49ers are -10, and the Eagles. Nope. I wrote the Eagles because I just knew they were going. The Bucs go to Detroit. Last night, right before the game started, I did these little notes, and I put the Eagles in there because I knew they were going to Detroit.
You jinxed them.
They jinxed themselves.
All right. And, because everything was kind of crazy and we're doing our show a day early, I forgot to tell Boop about making his picks today until
You're a mess.
Literally 6:30, 8 p.m. But Boop did text me back his picks at least, so we do have them. And I'll tell you right now, here they are. Houston at Baltimore. Boop takes the Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens as well.
Me too.
Although I got to tell you, Houston looked pretty impressive in pounding Cleveland on Saturday.
They did. That Baltimore defense is pretty good.
Yeah. Kansas City at Buffalo. In a shocking development, no, not really. Boop is taking Kansas City to win on the road. The Chiefs, Boop's second favorite team behind the Eagles, maybe 1-1A. I'm taking the Bills, though. The Bills have been playing great ever since that loss to the Eagles, believe it or not. So I'm taking Buffalo. How about you?
I'm taking Buffalo. I like Buffalo at home. I think they're a pretty good team. I'm surprised that game kind of got back away from them last week. They let the Steelers back in that game. I thought they were going to blow them out, but I like Buffalo, especially at home. Green Bay goes to San Francisco. How about them Green Bay Packers?
Oh, man. They look pretty good. I love the fact that they beat the Cowboys.
There you go. That's what I was looking for.
I didn't feel quite so good, though, when the Eagles suffered a similar fate Monday night. But it was fun while it lasted, watching Dallas lose. I don't think Green Bay can do it again. San Francisco is rested. I'm taking the Niners. Boop's taking the Niners. There you go. There's your lines.
Yeah, I'm taking the Niners. Thanks, Paul, for putting up the lines for us. There you go. And Tampa Bay at Detroit. Niners.
Yeah, he doesn't have that one up there.
He doesn't have that one up there.
You got the Niners twice.
Yep.
I got to think Detroit's favored by, I would say, 5.5. That's my guess. I'm taking the Lions. Boop is also taking the Lions.
I'm taking the Lions. And speaking of physical defenses, they play physical defense in Detroit.
Well, we all like that. Dan Campbell. He looks like a tough guy, and he wants his players playing tough.
That's right. All right, Chet, we had another great guest tonight, Brian Propp. Who's coming to Philly Press Box Radio next week?
I just confirmed a couple of hours ago we are going to have the annual visit from Kevin Cooney, working the Beat podcast, occasional contributor to Philly Voice and other stations. He's occasionally on 97.5, sometimes with our pal D. Lynham. Kevin Cooney joining us next week to talk not only about the Philly sports scene, but it'll be the day after the baseball Hall of Fame announcement comes. So he will tell us whom he voted for and what he thinks of the new inductees that'll be announced next Tuesday when he joins us next Wednesday, the 24th, Bill.
I'm looking forward to that because he posted his ballot on Facebook, and him and I were sparring a bit about his picks. I don't remember them. I didn't know we were going to have Kevin, but that will be a lot of fun. Yeah,
well, we'll see how he did and see what you think. So that'll be next week. Kevin Cooney joining us. Oh, wait, that's not all. I forgot. We have another Flyers guest next week, Brad Marsh, on the show as well. So another Flyers legend who's going to be lacing them up for the alumni game on the 26th. So not only Kevin Cooney, but Brad Marsh, former Flyer and the head of the Flyers Alumni Association, joining the show for the first time.
That should be fun. Now, before this gets away from us, you have an event to attend tomorrow. Tell us quickly about that.
I'll be seeing Kevin Cooney and a whole bunch of other sports media people. It is the Philadelphia Sports Writers Association annual banquet, number 119, I believe. It's at a hotel in Cherry Hill, and they're going to honor that Flyers 1974 Cup team, and a whole bunch of other dignitaries will be there. So I can't wait. That's going to be a good time tomorrow evening, Wednesday evening, if you're, watching this at another time. And I'll report back to you next week on how it went.
Yeah, and for those that are watching, we appreciate you joining us. That's why we shifted from tomorrow night, our normal time, to tonight. So Chet would be available to go to that. So we're looking forward to that. Just don't try to miss a tackle while you're there. Hey,
wrap it up, Bill.
One other comment on the defense.
Oh,
my head's been running on this whole thing.
I'm hungry.
Did you notice one thing in this game? Tampa Bay, when they had the football, never, I'll call it, had a soft tackle. They never had a soft tackle. They knew the Eagles couldn't tackle, and so they ran hard no matter what the situation was. There was no stepping out of bounds. There was no hitting the ground. They were running through people because they knew the Eagles couldn't tackle. It was out there for them. It was all over their film. And Tampa took advantage of that. They played mean. They ran mean with the ball, and it worked for them.
I also noticed that the Eagles were 0 for 11 on third down.
0 for 9 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth down.
Okay,
yes.
yeah, that was it. Yes,
But
yeah,
over.
first time that's happened since 1986. I heard.
Yeah, I didn't hear that, but they
Oh,
were
my
over.
God.
That's for sure.
That is
So,
not
hey,
good.
there plenty to go around at all sides of the ball. Even Covey dropped the punt, for God's sake.
He did. Let's get out of here, Bill.
All right, let's thank tonight's special guest, Brian Propp, our sponsors, the Irish Rover Station House, Cavs Philly Tailgate, PPCC 118, Raz Room. For Jim Chet Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday at our regular time, January the 24th at 7 p.m. You see us live on Facebook, on our Philly Press Box Radio YouTube channel. Listen on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans, and I guess we'll go with let's go Flyers.
And now, folks, that's it. Good night to all of you, and good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.